Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. This is Kim and I'm really glad you're here. This video is a follow-up to the last one I did about Doordash. This summarizes my first week as a Dasher. What did I learn? Did I make a lot of money? I'm going to kind of go over some details of how I did. So let's get going. So, my first delivery. I was so nervous. I decided to do this during my lunch break at work because I was just so anxious once I got the text that I could go ahead and start dashing. So I basically sat in the car and stared at my phone for a minute. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. How hard could it be? So I opened up the app and new drivers, they allow you to dash whenever you want for like the first week or 10 days or something. So I didn't have to schedule anything. So I just went ahead and pressed dash now. And literally before I got out of my parking lot at work, I had a delivery offer. I wish I would have thought to do screenshots of the whole process, but I didn't. I was really just kind of freaked out and worried that I was going to mess it up. So I basically just went with it. So my first offer was for a Chinese restaurant. The offer said $8 for 4.1 miles. That sounded good to me, so I accepted it. It only gives you 45 seconds to either decline or accept the offer. So it's hard when you're driving. Luckily, I was still in my parking lot at work, so I could stop and read the screen. There's a lot to look at. So you got to look at how far you're going to go, which direction it's going to take you, where the restaurant is. And I believe the 4.1 miles is from where I am when I accept the offer to the restaurant and then to the person's home. So it wasn't very far. And anyways, yeah, so I went with it. So I drove to the restaurant. Pretty straightforward. I knew where it was. I had the app open so that it could give me instructions on what to do next. I basically read who the order was for. I glanced real quick to see what it was. And I went inside and just basically told them I was from Doordash and I was picking up an order for whoever the person's name was. And then on the app, it said to confirm that I had arrived, so I did that. The lady told me that the order was ready, so she grabbed it and handed it to me, and I left the restaurant and put it in my car. And then I noticed on the app that it said confirm pickup. So, I looked at the food, make sure everything matched up with what the app told me. I probably should have done that in the restaurant, but it was right. Everything looked correct. So I confirmed that I picked it up, and then I got in my car, started the car. As soon as you click to confirm the pickup, you're given the info for the delivery to the customer. It gives you a little button to push for directions, which is nice. I have Apple CarPlay in my car, so it came up on my screen, which was nice, and helped navigate me to the person's home. So anyways, I arrived and it said to leave it by the door. So that's exactly what I did. I put my mask on, walked over, put it by the door. I knocked on the door. It didn't say not to knock or anything. I couldn't find the doorbell, so I just knocked. And then the app asked me to complete the delivery steps. So one of the steps was to take a picture. So I stood back and took a picture of the food by the door, and that was easy. It uses your phone's camera, but it's within the app. So anyways, that was easy. And then I just clicked to complete the delivery. It asked if it was a happy face or a sad face delivery. I chose happy face. It was very easy. And then when you choose one of those, it gives you some options. I don't remember what they all are. There's 6 or 8 of them. Friendly merchant, fast merchant, easy drop off. And there were some negative things on there, and you could just pick whatever you wanted. You could pick one or more. So anyways, I did that. And then once you finish choosing one of those options, you get a screen that breaks down what you've earned for that delivery. So here is what I made. It took about 15 minutes total from the time I received the order until I dropped it off. So not bad. I made $8. This was the hotel. This is the restaurant, the Szechuan Garden restaurant. So DoorDash paid $4 and the customer tipped me $4. So it was basically $8 for about 15 minutes of my time. Not bad. So that was my very first delivery. Here are some more of my deliveries. I shared these in the last video, but I'm going to kind of go over them again. This is the lowest offer that I accepted. It was $7.25. The DoorDash base pay was $4.25 and the customer tip was $3. I don't know how they come up with this number. Someone said it's a percentage of the order total, but this was a small order, so I'm not sure why that would be $4.25 instead of the $3 or whatever. So anyways, and then I got a $3 tip. So I accepted this one and one other order for $7 and something. All the rest, I decided I switched up to not accepting anything under $8. I just wanted to make it worth my while. So this is a very typical order of the ones I received. So this was Chick-fil-A for $13.25. The DoorDash pay was $5.25, and the customer tipped me $8, which was very generous. I had a lot of orders between like $11 and $15 total. So that was nice, and it makes it, it's worth driving somewhere, waiting in the restaurant, getting the order, and then driving to someone's house. I didn't take any super long distance orders, so none of them took a real long time unless the food wasn't ready. So I had many like this. This was my highest netting order. I got $25.25. The base pay was $6.25. The peak pay was $1, and then the customer tipped me $18, which was very generous. I think this was probably 20% of their bill because it was like $80 or $90 worth of food. So, but that was very nice, and I really appreciated that. And that was one of the longer drives. That maybe took us 15 minutes, to get from the restaurant to the person's house. And anyways, $25 for, half hour worth of work, definitely worthwhile. I did have to wait about 5 minutes for the food to be ready here. But, yeah, so this is my totals for the entire week. So keep in mind, this was the week of December 21st through the 27th. It was a holiday week, so I worked mostly, during lunch, a couple days, so those are just like one or two orders. And then we worked Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then I went out the day after Christmas and the day after that. So it was really the holiday weekend, Christmas Eve through Sunday. The total deliveries for the week was 54. My grand total equaled out to basically $26.61 an hour. So I basically took my entire amount that I earned and divided it by the total time I dashed. So on the app, it tells you how many hours you dashed that week, and it also gives you your active hours. So the active hours are when you are actually either driving to pick up an order, waiting in the restaurant, or driving to the customer's house. The dashing time was the time that I clicked dash now until the time I ended the dash. So that time, the non-active time, also includes the time you're waiting for an offer, where you are driving back, deadheading from the customer location back to where the restaurants are. So I used that time, the total time, not just the active time. So $26.61. So my consensus, I really like delivering for DoorDash. $26.61 an hour is decent. Not fantastic, but decent. But once you subtract gas and deduct for taxes, realistically, how much am I making? So my plan is to take 30% of the money I make on DoorDash and put it in a separate account that will be used to pay taxes, because they don't take out any taxes. You're not an employee of DoorDash. You're an independent contractor, and you'll get a 1099 at the end of the year. So you are responsible for taxes. I don't even know if 30% is going to be enough, but that's what I decided to hold out. And then gas. You have to pay your own gas. You have to pay your own upkeep of your car, buy tires, get the car washed, etc. So how much is this really an hour? This is a side hustle for me. It's not my main source of income, so I'm okay with it. Even if it comes down to, $15 an hour, it's just extra money, and it's fun. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I mentioned this, but about 30% of my time was waiting for offers or deadheading back to town. So of my total Dash time, it was almost 30% of the time that I was not actively driving to a restaurant, inside a restaurant, or driving to a customer. And this was a pretty busy time. I never had to wait too long, but 5 or 10 minutes here, and then driving back from someone's house, maybe 10 or 15 minutes at each time, to get back to where the restaurants are. It adds up. Could I do this full time? I'm not sure. It was a holiday week, and I think that's why it was so busy. And plus right now with the COVID closures, the state of California has closed all restaurants where you can't eat inside or even eat outside. So the only thing you can do is get delivery or pick it up. So I think that's why it's particularly busy right now. We live outside of Los Angeles in a suburban area, so it's not super jam-packed with restaurants either. And by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, everything kind of dries up and everyone goes to bed. So you got to get out there, for 4:30, so that you can get a few hours in before it all kind of just dries up. But anyways, the normal times are probably not as busy. Once the restaurants open back up, I don't expect to be as busy. But who knows? I could be wrong. Like I said, I only did this for a week. I don't profess to be a professional at this. This was my very first week doing it. This is all things that I've just deducted from this 1 week. Also, I think this could really damage your car. So, if you spill something in the car, it puts a bunch of mileage on it. So you're going to have to buy tires. You're going to have to do more service more often. I have a new car, so I really don't want to use it for this. So if I was going to do this a lot, I'd probably have to buy another car to use just for DoorDash, so I don't ruin my car. The last thing I wanted to say, I'm a middle-aged woman, and to be totally honest, I feel pretty safe delivering during the day. I never had any issues. I haven't had any issues at night either. But at night, some areas are not as safe feeling to me. I didn't have any issues. I didn't even see any people while delivering most of the time. But I can see where it'd be a little scary in certain areas. Like I said, we live in a really nice area, in a suburban area outside of Los Angeles. This is not a dangerous area, but it's dark. Some of the apartment buildings are really dark. And you're just wandering around looking for a building, looking for the apartment. And if people don't have their lights on, it's really hard to see. You're walking down these sidewalks that are not real level and flat, so you could fall. Just, I don't know. Nighttime, don't really like it. And I may not continue to do it at night. I don't know. We'll see. But daytime, it's great. Nighttime, I'm not sure. Anyways, it's fun. If you enjoy driving around, give it a shot. I think you'll find that it's a fun way to make some extra money. Do you have any questions or comments? Please put them down below. If you're an experienced dasher and you want to give me some tips on how to do things more efficiently, I would love to hear that information. If I erroneously gave some information that was incorrect, please let me know. Like I said, this is just my first week, And I just wanted to share this information as a new dasher and my experience and my takeaway from it. So anyways, I'd love to hear from you. And please don't forget to subscribe so you'll know when I post a new video. And don't forget to like it. Thanks.